Okay, so let's talk about something that's so prevalent in today's pop culture that you may not even realize it. We need to talk about Hawaii. Now, if you are familiar with Lilo and Stitch, you know that movie takes place in Hawaii. If you're familiar with Moana, you know that movie takes place in the Polynesian Islands, although I don't specifically know if they say which one, but I can tell you that the island that they use for Te Kā is modeled after the island of Hawaii. But we need to really talk about Hawaii because it has become prevalent in American culture, and a lot of people are super unfamiliar with the story of Hawaii. And as an APUSH scholar, this is something that you really need to know. And really, as an American, you should know this. Just like everywhere else, the American view of Hawaiians is negative. They really feel like the native Hawaiian people need to be civilized. But unlike some of these other places, Hawaii is a fully independent nation with their own monarchy. Not that other places didn't have their own monarchy and they weren't fully independent nations, but Hawaii is very singled out here because things are different for Hawaii. They are self-governing, and they have their own kingdom, which has been there for thousands of years, and their king and queen and their monarchy are, I don't know how long they were in control, to be honest, but the people of Hawaii are their own people, just like the people in Africa are their own people. The people in Asia are their own people. Like, consider Hawaii not as a state, but as its own continent, really. Now, I realize it's not a continent, but I think the only way for this to make sense is to consider it like that, is to consider that it is its own country. And they are their own country until the United States intervenes. So we start in the early 1800s. Well, I don't necessarily want to say early 1800s, but 1849, the US and Hawaii have signed what is called the Treaty of Friendship, Commerce, and Navigation. And within this treaty, it says each of the two contracting parties engages that the citizens or subjects of the other residing in their respective state shall enjoy their property and personal security in as full and ample manner as their own citizens or subjects, or the subjects or citizens of the most favored nation, but subject always to the laws and statutes of the two countries respectively. So essentially, we are working together, and we are going to accept the Hawaiians, and the Hawaiians are going to accept the Americans, and we're going to govern each other the way we would our own people in our own nations, etc. But again, Hawaii is its own country. They don't have to answer to the US government. However, in 1875, they are perhaps under duress signed into a new treaty called the Reciprocity Treaty. And the Reciprocity Treaty comes with a new constitution for Hawaii, which does not give the Hawaiians Hawaii anymore. And then in 1890, McKinley decides he's going to tariff Hawaii because there's a lot of American interest in Hawaii, especially fruit interests. The Dole family is living their life in Hawaii with the pineapple plantations. And if you buy Dole fruit, they are a driving force for this colonization of Hawaii. The pineapple plantations of Hawaii are what are going to spur a lot of the Americans to decide that we need Hawaii for ourselves and they shouldn't be an independent nation anymore. And so then, right around the end of the 1800s, once the next queen takes over and tries to revert Hawaii back to the monarchy and the rightful government, the US Marines come in and they kidnap her and they force her into her own castle and they hold her hostage there, and they give Sanford Dole the governorship of Hawaii and they proclaim it the Republic of Hawaii, and then we annex it. So again, this is a very important story, and it's a lot more even dramatic than that. So we're going to go back a little bit and run through some Hawaiian history, and I know that I'm probably saying these names wrong. If I highly recommend you look up a Hawaiian history from a Hawaiian. Obviously, I am not. This is what I know. I think it would do you a better service to get Hawaiian history from a real Hawaiian. But I'm going to give you the best I can from what I know, what I understand, and if it's there may be some errors in here. I'm sorry. This is the best I know, and if the best I know is wrong, then I hope somebody lets me know so that I can fix that. So from what I know, in 1874, King Kalakaua was appointed to the throne, and he has named his brother William Pitt Leleohuko as heir to his throne once he dies. And once the two of them die, then the princess takes over. So, Lydia Kamehameha, not Kamehameha, that's a different king, sorry. Princess Lydia Kamehameha is named heir apparent once the brother dies. And so she is given the throne in April 10th of 1877, and she takes on the name Lilukalani. Okay? I know it's complicated. Again, I'm not saying these names probably the best they could be said. But during the King Kalakaua's final years, the wealthy plantation owners and the businessmen, the doles of the region, had forced these men to sign what they call the Bayonet Constitution. The businessmen don't, the Hawaiians do. The Bayonet Constitution is forced on the Hawaiian monarchy, and this new constitution is going to limit the power of the monarchy, which is going to take away the Hawaiian people's rights to vote, which matters. Not that you vote for a monarchy necessarily, but you just need the right to vote. There's an issue in the United States with the African American population, with women, so it's not going to be any different in Hawaii. And so when King Kalakaua passes away in 1891, Lilukalani takes over the throne. And she wants to get rid of this Bayonet Constitution. She tries to amend the Constitution and restore the power to the monarchy and to the Hawaiian people. She says, it's our government. This Constitution is BS. You were forced us to sign it by gunpoint, by bayonet point. That's why it's called the Bayonet Constitution. But the same local sugar planters and the businessmen and the doles are worried that this will affect their business interests. So they instigate an overthrow, and they are afraid that they will lose money if the queen has influence. And so they get the U.S. Marines to help. They put in a call to Washington, D.C. and say, there's a conspiracy going on down here in Hawaii. We need you down here. And so the U.S. Marines are sent down. They force Queen Lilukalani to surrender the Hawaiian kingdom, the entire thing, to the United States in 1893. And they keep her as a prisoner in her own castle. And once she has surrendered the government over to the United States, again, they proclaim Sanford B. Dole to be the president of the Republic of Hawaii to watch the provisional government. And the queen is trapped in her own castle, in her own kingdom, without any right to rule anymore. All of her people are taken away. All of the rights of the Hawaiian people are taken away, and they are forced to watch their country be given to the United States. And the queen does not go out easily. She fights and fights and fights to get these rights back. She goes to Washington, D.C. at least once to request that the government return her kingdom to herself, but she's not successful. She can't convince the government to do that. Obviously, we have business interests there. They're not going to just return the land. And so she does die without seeing her kingdom return. And even today, Hawaii has become a U.S. state, but there's not a full consensus there that Hawaiians want to be part of the United States. And in fact, as far as I know, most native Hawaiian people do not want to be part of the United States. They want their country back. And it is super important to note, like, especially if you go to visit Hawaii, that you are visiting a country that was stolen, just like the land here. But Hawaii is not a playground. Like all of this stuff is cultural, and it is very important for you to know that as an American.